Hey, third grade. So to get started with your Keith Haring magnet, here's an example of one. The first thing we need to do is to come up with your drawing, your design. So you can just take a plain piece of paper and just fold it into quarters. So you have a few work areas. You can use a second sheet if you need to. Now, on the Google Classroom page, I do have some different printouts with some different ideas. You can print them out if you want to, if you're able to, or just look at them on your screen. So you can mix and match if you want to. If you want to play the game and make it random, you can, but come up with about 4 different ideas and you take your best one. So you would start by drawing a head. So maybe I really like this little dog head guy. You can change it from how it is exactly. You don't have to make it exactly how it is on here. And then pick a body or different pose. So you can mix and match however you want to. This should look like in the style of Keith Haring's art. That's interesting, his arms are coming out of his body, so. All right, and then I'll just make this little guy, I mean, just running. Outline it. And if you miss any pencil marks, you can always go back and magic erase to get rid of any marks that you have, or make any changes that you want to do. I'm just going to take an eraser and get rid of any extra pencil marks. Now for this particular magnet that I made, I had left it as an outline and I just kind of filled it in. You could put your Keith Haring magnet more on a square and just fill this in. So this particular one I'm going to fill in. So I'm going to take a black marker and color it in. All right, so it's all colored in. So the next step is to photograph it. So to photograph it, you're going to open up your Chromebook camera. All right, so to get opening your camera, in your bottom left-hand corner of your Chromebook is going to be a circle, the launcher. When you click on that, you may already have the camera up as an option. If not, just start to type camera, and then it should appear. So I'm going to click on that. That's going to open up your camera. And I already have mine open. All right, so when you go to photograph, you want to get your character really close to the screen, and then try to hold it really still while you go to photograph. And I peek my head around the corner so I can see what I'm doing, or hit the space bar. All right, so I have it photographed. Now the next step is to edit it. So you may in the bottom right-hand corner have a little button where just your photo appeared. And we're going to crop it. All right, so using the crop tool, which is in the upper top here, I'm going to click on that, and I want to cut off all the extra artwork on there. So it's going to come down, just grab the handles. All right, that looks a little better. I'm going to hit done. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to make the photo a little bit better contrast, black and white. So as you notice, the background is kind of grayish. So I'm going to click on this button to lighten it. I'm going to increase the contrast. You can see it makes the black all black, really black. And I want to increase the exposure a little bit, but you don't want to go too far because then it kind of blows it out. So I'm just going to bring it down to make the background white, yet keep the blacks black. And you can experiment with what looks the best. All right, finally, I'm just going to give it a better name. I'm going to call this running dog, because just leaving image 15674 is going to be kind of confusing. All right, and then I'm going to hit save, and that's going to save it to your downloads folder. All right, so I'm going to close this out. So when you get to tinkercad.com, there's a link in your Google Classroom. You want to sign in first, so don't click join now, you already have an account. So click sign in, and you're going to sign in with Google. Now hopefully you've already signed in once to Tinkercad. Otherwise you may have to hit a acknowledge screen and then close the welcome window. So I'm going to pick my Google account here. And that's going to open up Tinkercad. Now, you may also want to join the Tinkercad Classroom, which I have a link in your Google Classroom as well. Now, I'm going to click Create New Design. It's on a brand new workspace. Hopefully, you've had a minute to experiment with Tinkercad, so you're maybe a little familiar with how to use the camera and how to use some of the tools. If not, I would highly recommend to watch some of the tutorial videos that are provided. But if you follow along with the video, you should be okay. All right. So right now, we can't just bring in the picture or photograph that we had for our dog, your magnet. We have to convert it. Now in your Google Classroom, I have a link to convert it, so you can just go to that. I'm just going to do a quick Google search to bring that up. The link I have will take you directly to this page. So when I get to this screen, I'm going to choose the file, and feel free to pause if you need to. Now I saved, or rather the photograph was saved to my downloads. So here's my running dog. Double click on it or go to open. Right here you can see it showed up. I'm going to click start conversion. Now it will automatically download to your download folder. If it doesn't show up, click the download button. So I'm going to go back to Tinkercad. All right, so now we've converted our file. We're going to bring our magnet into Tinkercad. So I'm going to go to the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to click import. This window will come up. You're going to choose a file. And then we're going to find the running dog that we just saved from that program. Double click on it and go to open. Now here it's going to bring up a preview, which is what we want to see. We're going to click on art and make the largest side 30. And then click import. And that brought in our dog. Now, it's not going to print pink. It's going to print whatever color you want it to be, but you can always change the color on it if you'd like. All right, so I'm next going to create a base for my dog here. Now I'm going to left click and drag a shape out. So just left click, drag. That brought out a box. I'm going to decrease the height to 7 by grabbing that handle on the top. Now I'm going to grab another handle to stretch it out big enough for my dog to fit. If I look at it from the top, you can rotate your camera with the right wheel. I have lots of extra plastic or white area around my magnet, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And Now I could decrease, if I click on my dog, I can decrease the height of my dog, but keep it a little bit higher than your magnet. So you could probably kind of leave it the way it was. All right, next thing we're going to do is to create the opening for our magnet. So what I did was to bring out a cylinder, and I chose one that was a hole type. You can always convert it if you have a solid cylinder. You convert it by clicking on the hole type here. Now if I click on my cylinder, I'm going to increase, right now when you get it initially, it's going to be a little bit blocky. So I usually change the number of sides on the cylinder as big as I can get it. It's either left click and drag. So I have 64. I'm rotating with the right mouse button. I'm going to decrease the height of my opening for my magnet to 5. Now you want to make sure you have it 5 high, and I'm going to click on the little white hand in the corner. Either click and drag it to resize it, or click on each dimension on the side and make sure each one is 18. If it's not 18, your magnet won't fit. It has to be perfectly round. Now if I move my magnet underneath, you can rotate your camera if you want to, you can see it does fit on my magnet. Now to combine all the shapes, I'm going to left click and drag a selection box over all 3 shapes. I'm going to click the group button. That combines them all into one shape. Now you may notice that it did change all the same color. And you can pick the colors, and I'll show you how to do that when you turn it in. I can see I have a hole for my magnet, and the hole does not go all the way through, so you don't see it coming through. Now I'm going to show you what to do in case your magnet design is too small. So I'm just going to take this apart. And let's say your magnet design is too little. You can see it's poking through. So you can enlarge your magnet by having both shapes selected and hold the shift key when you resize it, and that'll make it larger or smaller without adjusting. You can individually click on the parts if they are not grouped, so you can drop things down and make a little bit of a change if you need to. So that's how you would, and then I could select everything and then go to group. That's a little bit off-centered, so you can ungroup it and go underneath it, and you can click and move. So you have to click off to the side to reselect a different shape. Then I'll select and group. Remember, you can always undo up on the top or hit Control-Z. All right, so I'm going to turn in this magnet here. So I'm going to select it by clicking on it. You can see it got the handles. Now we're going to go to Export. We have the selected shape. And you want to choose STL, Think St. Louis. That's going to save it to your Downloads folder. The next step, you would go into your Google Classroom and go to the assignment and add and attach the file. Now I do have more directions for that in the Google Slides. When you get into the After you have exported your file, you can go into your Google Classroom, find the assignment, under classwork, and you want to go to add and attach a file. Now I do have directions in the Google Slides if you're not sure how to do that. And you're going to add your file, so you have to upload it, and you're going to click Turn In. Now, in the comments section, before you close out your Google Classroom assignment, you want to type what you want. So in this case, I wrote black base with red character, and then hit the triangle to turn it in. I will work on 3D printing these out for you, and will notify your parents when they're ready to be picked up. So probably the next time you go to pick up any materials for your classroom, they will be ready to go. Hope you guys enjoyed making your Keith Haring magnets. Take care.